Good afternoon, everyone. Speaking on behalf of Data Patterns India Limited, I'm Lalit Jaising from Concept PR and your moderator for this virtual press event. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking out your time from your busy schedules to join us. We appreciate your presence and extend a very warm welcome to all of you. The objective of today's live session is to understand Data Patterns' interest in raising finance by an initial public offering and what they do as a business organization. Under a normal circumstance, this would have been an on-ground event, but we all are getting increasingly accustomed to this as a safer and more convenient format of attending and conducting the roadshow. We hope you gather the same or a better experience from the comfort of your home and office. Before I review the functionality of the webinar, I would like to bring to light that Data Patterns caters to an entire spectrum of defense and aerospace requirements across space, air, land, and sea. It is amongst the few vertically integrated defense and aerospace electronic solution companies catering to indigenously developed defense products industry and is one of the fastest growing companies in the defense and aerospace electronics sector in India. The company's offerings have found applications across various platforms and programs such as Tejas light combat aircraft, light utility helicopter, BrahMos missile program, precision approach radars, and various communication and electronic intelligence systems. I would now request the webinar team to please play the corporate film of the company for the attendees to gather a better understanding about Data Patterns.
Which defense and aerospace company in India has the expertise in radars and electronic warfare? Which defense and aerospace company in India offers building blocks to complete solutions? Which company in India develops and supplies the fire control systems for the BrahMos missile? Which company in India has expertise in avionics and small satellites? Welcome to Data Patterns. Data Patterns has designed and built electronic systems in domains such as avionics, radars, electronic warfare, RF and microwave, fire control systems, satellites, communication systems, and automatic test equipment. Data Patterns has design capabilities across the entire spectrum of strategic defense and aerospace electronic solutions, including processors, power, RF and microwave, digital receivers, and embedded software. Our design expertise encompasses PCB designs, FPGA design, algorithms, and mechanical design, including structural and thermal analysis. All layers of software, from operating system porting, device drivers, networking layers, application software, graphical user interface, cartography, signal processing, streaming protocols, and waveform engineering are implemented by this team. Data Patterns has infrastructure of over 1 lakh square feet. This houses the Design Center, Electronic Manufacturing Services, Cabling, Functional and Environmental Test Facilities. Our expansion program for doubling of available floor area is already underway. This will not only double our production capacity, it will also enable the handling of heavy systems, including radars, electronic warfare, vehicle integration, and satellite integration facility. As on July 31st, 2021, we had 760 employees, of which 450 of them are engineers. Our senior members in our hardware design and development, software development group, and project teams have been with our company for over 15 years and have ensured stability in our knowledge and process know-how. Data Patterns' client portfolio include major defense and space research laboratories, and production undertakings in India. Today, Data Patterns is poised to take up emerging opportunities to build India's defense and space-related capabilities. We have the infrastructure, the capabilities, the technologies, the processes, the people, the products, the clients, and the commitment to become a leading defense and aerospace solutions company in India with indigenously developed products catering to the entire spectrum of defense platforms: land, sea, air, and space. We are truly future ready.
Thank you. Moving ahead, you'll be kept on mute throughout the event and all questions will be answered via the Q&A chat box only. Would request all participants, to type your question either in session or at the end of the webinar and limit yourself to 3 questions if possible, and use a lowercase font while typing the question. If we miss answering any of your questions, don't worry. You can email us at ipoteam@conceptpr.com and we will try to be swift in responding back to you. Going forward, it's a great pleasure to introduce the speakers today. From the company, we have Mr. Srinivasa Gopalan Rangarajan, Chairman and Managing Director, Ms. Rekha Murthy Rangarajan, Director, Mr. Vijay Anand K, Chief Operating Officer, Mr. S. Thomas Muthuraman, Senior VP, Business Development, Mr. Venkata Subramaniam, Chief Financial Officer. The representation from the book running lead managers are Ms. Neha Agarwal, Executive Director, Global Capital Markets, JM Financial Limited, and Mr. Devendra Maude, Vice President, IIFL Securities Limited. On behalf of the company and lead managers to the issue, let me thank all participants for being a part of this session. I now invite Ms. Neha Agarwal from JM Financial to deliver the opening remark and commence this press meet. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Lalit. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Data Patterns and the team of book running lead managers, it's my privilege to welcome all of you to the launch of the company's IPO. Allow me to run you through some of the key highlights of the company. It's its most indigenous, integrated, and strategic defense and aerospace electronic solution provider, which is well positioned to benefit from the entire Make in India opportunity. Innovation-focused business model is something which the institutional investors completely resonated with. Sound order book across product categories, supplying to marquee customers in the defense and the aerospace industry. Modern certified manufacturing facility matching international standards. Consistent track record of profitable growth due to a scalable business model. And last but not the least is the experienced management team and skilled workforce. Some of the key specifics of the issue. The issue price band is from 555 to 588 per share, 585 per share, which implies a market cap of close to 3,035 crores at the top end of the price band. The issue size is 588 crores at the upper end of the price band, of which 240 crores is fresh issue and 348 crores is OFS. The investor categories, the QIB portion is up to 50% of the issue, which is close to 294 crores. The HNI portion is at least 15% of the offer, which is close to 88 crores. And the retail portion is at least 35% of the offer, which is close to 206 crores. The dates of the upcoming IPO are the anchor opens on December 13th, which is Monday, and the issue opens for public on Tuesday, December 14th, and closes on December 16th. The estimated listing date with these timelines comes to close to around Friday, the December 24th. We look forward to all your support in making this IPO a grand success. With this, I request Mr. Rangarajan and team to share their journey with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agarwal, for the introduction to Data Patterns' initial public offering and issues key highlights. India accounts for 3.7% of the global military spending, making it the third highest military spender in the world. The defense expenditure constituted 2.9% of India's total GDP, with approximately $72.9 billion spent on defense in 2020. The Indian defense industry is evolving into a self-sustaining one, with companies and DPSUs moving towards specializing into defense primes, integrators, and component suppliers. Globally, A report by Frost and Sullivan states that the defense expenditure will continue to rise in the medium term at a rate of 1.5%, amounting to $2,130 billion by 2026. I would now request the company team to take us through the organization's journey, its struggles, and victories. Subsequently, take the attendees through the investor presentation to cover its business and financial details, as well as touch upon its key strategies going forward. Over to you, Mr. Rangarajan.
Thank you, Lalit, and thank you, Neha, for the lovely introduction. I thank everybody for being part of this meet. I will just run you through the presentation shortly. Welcome to Data Patterns presentation. If I was a part of this presentation, you can ask questions, as Lalit said, direct it to any one of us, or we can answer based on the questions. I'll just take you to the short presentation, a lot of details, and we'll run through the presentation. Like Neha explained, we are a very different defense and aerospace electronic systems company. We've been here for many years, and over the years, we've built up a lot of competencies to and strategized ourselves to be a differentiated defense and aerospace systems company. We say we are differentiated because probably we're the only company in India who build from components to end systems. Again, we also build across of all of electronics. There's only company in India building entire range of electronics. Third, we are also building complete solutions with our own domain in electronic warfare, in radars, in communication, and addressing end system opportunities, which is coming up in India. We've developed multiple systems over the last so many years, and a few of them have started realizing into production orders. We have an order book of nearly 600 crores, largely out of which are repeat orders or production orders, and consequently our revenue is also scaling. We have not only 600 crores orders on hand, we have a substantial amount of pipeline created, and these have been created based on contracts already developed and which has gone through certification, undergoing certification, and the repeat orders for such production orders is expected in the next few years. Being in this line for many years, we have built up an enormous competency in terms of capability to build end systems. This has been possible because of the large and very senior management team who's part of this company. We built it together, built an organization which is scalable. We have all the necessary infrastructure to not only design, but to produce the equipment which is necessary for the services. The important opportunity now is we believe we are in a inflection point, not only because we have orders in hand and they're scaling, but also because the entire industry today, as defense industry, is opened out to Indian industry, which has originally been catered to by foreign OEMs. Today, that market has opened up, which is an enormous market opening up to us. So in the next few slides, I will explain to you why we are differentiated, where we came from, what are the products, and where are we going from here. Starting from the products, we make a wide range of products. Having worked with defense research labs throughout India and Department of Space, we have developed a number of products across domains. But all this started with our journey to build what we call as reusable building blocks. These are, in military parlance, is called COTS, or commercial off the shelf. These are functional blocks which can be bought and integrated into an existing, to either build an avionics or a fire control system or any other application by customizing some portions of what you need. We competed with the foreign OEMs and built the building blocks, used those building blocks across our applications to DRDO and ISRO to build end solutions, meeting their requirements. In doing that, in the last so many years, we have developed products across the profile, from space to air to land to water, across the platforms. Some of the key takeaways would be in bunching of this into some blocks is the cockpit display for light combat fighter aircrafts as well as helicopters. We do naval systems, communication, water, underwater equipment. We build the largest automatic test equipment platforms in India. The one notable thing which all of you have heard about is the BrahMos missile. We built the launchers for BrahMos missile for the ground system, the first company to build it. We also built the launchers for the Sukhoi 30 version, which is launched. And having done this journey, we started building complete solutions. we built a bunch of complete radars, our own design, completely designed in-house in India. And we're probably the only company to design entire radars in India and build them, and we're delivering radars in India. Second area is work closely with DRDO and developed a complete competency to build electronic warfare systems. So this is in a sense what we are offering in terms of product. But let's look at the journey. How did we start doing this? 30 years back, actually, we started building laboratory instrument automation. Our first tries with defense and aerospace started with Department of Space. We built a configurable test equipment platform, very similar to Hewlett-Packard. We competed with them, built their systems here. We built our own language called DP Basic Interpreter Language, very similar to HP. So this is how we started, and we built that systems and sold it, competing with foreign multinationals as well as Indian corporates to Department of Space. Today, more than 95% whatever is flying in the launch vehicle, the test system is supplied by us as a single vendor. We have a rate contract with the Department of Space. The launch, which you see here, the top corner, the launch countdown system, second launch pad, the countdown system is fully designed by us. Matter of fact, when Lalit started the presentation, he started a countdown. I was very fondly remembering the initial countdowns systems have gone through. It has been working for the last 20 years, and this has been the history with Department of Space. From there, we graduated into going into military requirements for the DRDO. Now, while scaling, we found that DRDO has an opportunity where we build one system, let's say for the light combat aircraft. They told us that as long as it's produced in hundreds in the last 10 years of production, we'll get repeat contracts. So this has motivated us because we had a competency model and we can build products, address requirements. So with the DRDO, we learned how to design and qualify products for air, land, water, and underwater. Our first example, successes were with BrahMos. We built the fire control system for BrahMos. We won the contract against all the big companies like Tata, L&T, BEL, etc. And at that time, in 2001, we are a 35-man small engineering firm. From there, we have scaled our competencies across profile with DRDO, with cockpit displays for LCA, and various other programs. But we found that, unlike the success story of BrahMos, where every 4 years we got some contracts, not every contract which we got from DRDO was really giving a production order or repeat requirements within reasonable timeframes. So we bunched up. We said, instead of getting into one contract, one program or product, let us go across the DRDO, design multiple products for various segments, which will probably given us a regular growth path. So this is what we started doing, and we built across profile platforms. But still, we thought we missed something because we're doing part of a system with DRDO. We need to actually go into, if you're going to be a military supplier, and we say we are an equipment supplier in the defense space, we need to build full equipment. Where we need, there are two competencies we lacked at that time. One was the capability to build RF and microwave equipment. This today, 2007, we started building our own competency. Today, we build what the world does in RF and microwave. So that gave us a competency model that across the profile electronics we can design. The second is to build, competencies or the domain or the application knowledge for end systems. So we looked at ISRO. ISRO wanted to scale or upgrade their tracking radars, which they imported a bunch of radars from France for tracking the launch vehicle post-launch. So we won all the contracts and built modern radars for them, upgrade the radars with our electronics, our software, and that is all his launches are tracked with those systems today. We then realized that we have a competency, we can build end systems. So then we quoted and won contracts with Coastal Surveillance Radar against Tata. We were tied up with a foreign company. We built the world's largest wind profile radar. This is a modern phased array radar. We can do electronic beam steering in this. This can also track satellites. A competency was built and delivered in 2014-15. About the last 6 years, the systems are functional to the 24/7. It's working. From that model, we said, okay, the other area we were fully electronics, electronic warfare, which is very homegrown. Parts were imported and integrated. So we were lucky to work with DRDO. And in the last 12 years, I worked jointly with DRDO and replaced every imported part on receivers in this, from HF to 40 gigahertz, the entire spectrum for electronic intelligence, communication intelligence, radar warning receivers, all of which has been designed and developed jointly with DRDO. And they've gone through trials, and repeat orders are expected in all of these areas. The third area we wanted to focus on, always because of our closeness to ISRO and our closeness to DRDO and defense, we said, why not build a defense satellite competency? So we piggybacked on the model of a student satellite program. And instead of importing and integrating the satellite, nanosatellite kind of platform, we said we'll build a scalable satellite, but full competency done in-house in Data Patterns. Accordingly, we designed everything in the satellite, including the sensors, the movement mechanisms, the control systems there, the telemetry command, the ground stations, everything was designed by us. We put the hardware and software, and we also made it a redundant satellite. We put all the capability like ISRO has on orbit. We can upload the software on the satellite from ground on orbit, all the competencies necessary, and build a scalable model to address the defense satellite market as you go along. We had a successful launch. Now we are doing 2 more satellites for some smaller, for the nanosatellite program for civilian requirements. More importantly, we built up a competency as and when the market opens up for defense satellites. Our interest is to build complete satellites in India, for India, and probably for export. So these kind of competencies are done. When India opened up defense to Indian industry, this was in 2014 when we got an inquiry we could participate in for a precision approach radar. This is a modern radar which will allow or assist aircraft landing in all weather situations. We decided, why don't we, instead of tying with foreign companies, why don't we design the radar ourselves? So we went back to our drawing board, designed the radars, got it accepted in Vizag Naval Base, and won a contract for 254 crores. So our journey started with space, went through DRDO, built up competency there, and now we are addressing opportunities in MOD as full system. Having done that, we also have to put them in infrastructure to produce. We have a modern infrastructure which is certified for space and defense in Chennai, and we are scaling that opportunity and infrastructure, doubling the capability today. So this is the history of the company. But like I said, it all started with building blocks. Why did we do this? Because when we went into DRDO, we found that a bunch of them were actually being imported from foreign OEMs. And then custom requirements were outsourced to Indian vendors on a competitive bidding. We said, instead of doing one-off solutions in customs, as being a product company, why don't we replace what is being imported in the building blocks? So we built the systems and then built successfully in DRDO tenders, won contracts and started delivering the systems. Of course, we need to absorb development costs in all of them because we're competing with already available products from US and Europe. We said we will do that as a product company and cover the development costs, recover it over many systems sold in DRDO. So this is how a journey started with building blocks. And then when we started participating in the custom development requirements, we also started putting reusable building blocks to see, can we reuse the design for across domains? So this has been a concept and throughout our last 20 odd years of development. And when DRDO has found that industry is becoming mature and started larger systems to be outsourced instead of pieces like this, we found we are conveniently positioned because we design everything from scratch. And whereas everybody had to import and integrate and customize something, we are actually working with raw material costs. So this gave us a competency model, which we built further on and built end equipment based on this, and then address markets across land, air, water, underwater. In doing this, we got a competency which is outstanding in terms of the breadth of competencies in processor, RF microwave, digital, analog, high voltage, mechanical engineering, control systems, firmware, software, etc. So this is how the competency has been built. Okay. Now, where are we going? What are the market we are addressing? See, we are addressing 5 different kinds of market today. Earlier, these markets were not accessible to us. Today, it is accessible to us. All the last so many years, we've been accessing the market number 1, which is a DRDO development contract model. What really happens in the market is DRDO tenders out requirements. People like us win the contracts. Once DRDO completes the entire equipment development and certification, they transfer the certification, they transfer the production, the knowledge to a defense PSU. And the defense PSU then gets a nominated order on nomination basis from the Army, Navy, Air Force. Once they get the orders, let us say some 10 radars, they buy back-to-back single tender from people like us because we become the design agency and the OEM for that part or subsystem which is originally designed for DRDO. So this is the business model. Sometimes it is a 3-4 year contract based on back-to-back, they give us the order. Sometimes if it is an aircraft, it goes for 10 years, then back-to-back every year, they give an annuity business. So this is the model. You go through the development contract, wait for production contracts. As when it happens, then we get a revenue potential through the course of the life of the program. So this is what our focus has been. The second focus now where we won the 250 crore contract, I said, is based on MOD tenders. Unlike DRDO, here the Army, Navy, Air Force buys end equipment, full equipment for their use, and it's not a development inquiry. So you need to have products to address this particular inquiry from MOD. The good thing here is every contract, every tender is a few hundred crores to few thousand crores. And it's a huge, huge requirement which is opened up to India. Either if you have the products to address it, you can do it, or tie up with foreign OEMs to address the market. The important thing is you need to have products to address the large market which is opened up. We are addressing this market now. The third opportunity which is evolving is with the Make in India kind of initiative and the percentages which Government of India is mandating Indian portion to be done in India. A group of large platform manufacturers are now trying to evolve an Indian ecosystem. As an equipment supplier, we believe we'll play a huge part in the Indian ecosystem, defense ecosystem, which is developing in the next few years. You'll see it happening. I think we will participate in the ecosystem very, very actively. The fourth area is civilian requirements, dual-use technologies. What we do in military can also be put in an Indian use. For example, the radars which we design can also go into a civilian market. So we're also addressing that market. The fifth market is the export. We don't do a manufacturing only offset export. We do our own equipment can be exported. Part of the equipment can be designed and exported. Some IP can be exported. We are on that business. We did last about 10 to 12%. Our last year turnover was on export. We are trying to actually increase that export as we go along and scale that export capability on products as well in service business, which till now we've not done, but there's going to be focus post-IPO to do this. So this is the kind of markets we've done. So we've done development. This is the market we're addressing. So what do we have today? How does the contracts really happen? So first the development happens. That gets into production contracts from OEMs of BHEL, BEL, HAL kind of organization, PSUs. And then once they deliver to end customer, we also start getting the AMC revenue or the after post-warranty, we start getting revenue. So this bunched up together gives you the orders on hand position. As you can look at the graphics, we were in FY18, something like about 178 crores. Now we are talking about, this is gone up to 600 crores, is gone. And here you see slowly our order book is increasing. And based on the order book, our positions, you see the ratio which you're doing now. There is a service business which has happened, which is 10 to 12%. There's a development business also, we have about 20% and about 70% on production business. This is the optimal ratio that there is a development version, which is not large today, but that will help us scale the business going ahead to a few thousand crores based on deliveries which you do on the development. And the revenue increase and the production model which we have here will also scale the revenues as you go along, which is what you see, which is happening in the graphics on the right side. The important thing in this here, from a very development-centric model, which is what in 2017 would be about 80% development, we've now come to 20% development in a 600 crore order book. This makes a whole lot of difference in how we view the business, how stable the business can become. 2-3 things happen in this. If you're only development-centric, we're working to a contract on that year, and we have very little visibility to future contracts until the production contracts happen. With the production order, what really happens is that we have a 3 to 4 year visibility because orders are given for 3-4 years. Sometimes larger orders are happening, more spread of orders. So visibility happens. Second thing which happens in the production business is that since we've written off all the development expenses, including the revenue development years, all of them comes to the bottom line, and our EBITDA and PAT also goes up. And third, which important thing is we also start getting quarter to quarter kind of a revenue, which is not possible in a development business. So all in all, I think we now have a very good mix. There's an optimal mix, which gives an opportunity to really scale the business as we go along at the present where we have in terms of development contracts. But look at the market. The market itself is very huge. We're talking more than 1 lakh crores of defense business. But what is important to India is that the graphics on the right side. What really happened is the last 70-75 years, we are directly importing everything from foreign OEMs. And already sometimes we buy through transfer technology from foreign OEMs to defense PSU. This model makes it 80% goes abroad and the value addition within India is less than 20%. Now what happened is MOD has made clear the MOD tenders will be addressed only by Indian industry. We will become the prime. If you don't have products, we can have a back-to-back tie-up with the foreign OEMs or build the products to address the market. So suddenly then, in the next few years, you'll find that large market in India will be addressed by Indian prime. The second thing which they also done is there is the minimum value add which is necessary when you build this product. 40 to 60% you need to value add in India. That means 50,000, 60,000 crores is now going to be value add within India, which is an enormous, enormous opportunity which is opening up. This is not there 10 years back or 20 years back. But our business is in electronics. So though this is a large system, how much is the electronic market itself? See, today, 30 to 40% of any equipment is electronics. The scale of market is very high. In our own area of military radars, airborne and avionics, and EW, etc., the market itself is $3 to $4 billion. So the market is large. What is important today is that we need to have products to address the market. That is what is important, because MOD buys products, and these products, we need to have a product to address the market or to compete with the foreign OEMs. This is what we need to have, and that's what we need to address. Now, I talked about contracts on hand, 16 crores, which is giving you a revenue potential, which is giving you scalability, and also better working capital management. Now, where are we with respect to opportunities in the next 2-3 years? We have a short-term opportunity, we have orders on hand. Medium term, where is this company going? See, what we have done is, in the last 7-10 years, we have done an enormous amount of product development, and that is the pipeline we have created. For example, you take the Arudra radar, Air Force decided to import 8 radars from Thales of France through Bharat Electronics. It's called a medium power radar. They also said 8 radars, if India designs the radars, we'll buy 8 radars in India. Similarly, going with that, DRDO has developed the radar, certified it, and transferred technology to Bharat Electronics. Now, Bharat Electronics has given the inquiry, and back to back, they've taken quotations from us to see that, they quoted to Air Force. We expect the contract to happen in BEL in the next few months, and back to back, maybe about 150 crores can come on back to back order, some order, whatever we have. Similarly, we have an Ashwini radar. If you look at the Ashwini radar here, this is a low-level transporter radar. 19 radars were imported from Thales of France through Bharat Electronics, with the proviso that 18 radars will be made in India and bought through India. DRDO has done the radar, developed the radar, and then in this, the good thing is almost 95% of all the electronics is designed by us. And second good thing is, DRDO also has given us the transfer technology for producing the radars to us, other than BEL also. So it is going to be a competitive bid on the radar end. If the radar end, we win the contract, it is going to be a couple of thousand crores plus. And in case we win only the electronics, back to back, Bell or other company will buy it back from us. It is 1/3 of the radar cost will have to be bought from us. So there is substantial amount of market availability to the next 1 year. This has to happen. Similarly, we've developed the radar warning receivers, which has flown in the Balakot strike. We have a bunch of orders which DRDO jointly we are working with. As we've delivered this, it is presently on flight trials with LCA. More of flight trials are planned for Sukhoi 30. The requirement of Sukhoi 30 and LCA is more than 300, 400 systems. So we're talking about few thousand crores of business possible once flight testing is possible over satisfactorily. We expect back-to-back contracts to happen. So we have a bunch of such opportunities where we have already developed equipment and certified it, and we're looking at the repeat requirements happening in the next few years. One more example is the seeker for BrahMos missile. You find that this is now we're further importing this seeker from Russia, and we have done a version with DRDO. It is going to go to flight trials in the next 6 months, including missile trials. Once it is successful, the expectation is that this seeker will be fitted into future production of BrahMos missiles in India. BrahMos is a supersonic cruise missile. The seeker, what you're buying is about 9-10 crores per seeker. We are half the price. So it makes sense to put this unit, especially with the Atmanirbhar Bharat and many hundreds of crores being developed, spent by DRDO on this development effort with us. We expect this to go in, and all 3 services are actually buying BrahMos missiles. So there's an enormous potential for this. The second area like that, we've also started development, the next generation software-defined radio. This again, we're doing with the DRDO, and the first systems are going to get flight tested in LCA, and then the other fighter aircrafts. This is to see that India has our own software-defined radio for airborne platforms and fighter aircrafts with Indian encryption, which is what is being done. So in such programs, when we are doing the product level, complete product level development and delivery to DRDO and flight testing is happening, the expectation is scalability is being built up with all such programs. I've taken only a bunch of programs, a number of them like this, which we have developed with DRDO in this context for MOD requirements as full system. So where are we now? We have about 600 crores orders on hand. We build very reliable products. Like I said, in 2001, we did the launch countdown system. Those systems are working today for the last 20 years and delivering on its requirements. We do very highly precise and safety critical equipment. For example, the cockpit display for LCA is a safety critical, aircraft critical system, which is supplied to us in 2005. And we are still supplying all this for the 1983 aircrafts, which is an order to HAL. All the units that's going to be delivered by us. So we work on all programs of India. Whatever prestige defense projects are there in India, we are part of almost all of those programs. And we work with all of Indian DRDO, defense, as well as space and Army, Navy, Air Force. We directly also work with them. Like I said, we have an infrastructure. We have 100,000 square feet with modern manufacturing infrastructure that is certified for space and defense. We're enhancing, doubling the capacity. And in this, not only production capacity doubling, we're also creating a hangar space where multiple trucks can be brought inside, 10-ton metal can be with over a crane inside we have, so we can build the radar, equip the trucks, so that we can look at systems as complete systems going ahead for MOD requirements. The nature of business is changing. We're not just doing component system, subsystem. We are addressing market end system. Our ambition is to be an equipment supplier as any other international OEMs whom India is buying from. We want to see that we position ourselves as similar to them, build world-class systems, and this infrastructure is already underway. It is almost getting completed. In the next 4 months, the infrastructure will be completed. This has all been possible because we have an excellent management team. We've been with us for 20 plus years and built the company with me together. So all of us together, it's a joint development effort. All of it with us, same passion, the same kind of motivation, the same kind of direction to be the next generation defense suppliers in electronic systems in India. And that is what is made this possible. Along with us, we have dreamers like us, with us, more than 150, 200 engineers, more than 10 to 15 years in data patterns, who have helped us build the organization the way we are doing today. Today, we also have a very elite board. We have Prasad Menon, who has been Tata Managing Director Tata Power, Ramakrishnan, ex-CFO Tata Power, Mr. Shastri, who was ex-Chairman Managing Director of BEL, Sabita Rao with a host of HR competencies, and Matthew Maverick, who has helped us scale the business, give new ideas, bring this IPO process together. Really, we have a dynamic team with a lot of experience who can guide us post-IPO, how do we want to take this process away. As far as the business itself is concerned, financial is concerned, as I said, we've grown, the order book is growing. Based on the order book, the revenue is also growing. We expect the revenue to go faster than the last few years because we have the order book and a huge amount of pipeline created. We expect to grow the business faster than this. Like you said, since everything is designed in-house, our gross profit has always been about 65 to 70%. The one thing is we write off the development costs during the development year. So what really happens is when the business grows, since everything is written off, automatically it comes to the EBITDA at the bottom line. Our EBITDA and the bottom lines have grown. We expect this to grow in similar fashion in the next coming years to go. So this is where we are. Our cash, return on capital employed is good. We are generating cash, and our profit and our finances are very good shape today. So going ahead, where are we going? The markets have opened up. Huge opportunities are there. What do we need to do? Address the market with products which is suitable for and with which we can compete with the foreign OEMs and build in India. So that is the idea. And all our strategies the last so many years has been towards building this. So we'll continue to build complex, multidisciplinary products with DRDO, using DRDO sometime. Otherwise, address our own capabilities, modify it. Since we build a lot of building blocks and reusable hardware and software, we are capable of reusing those things and with less amount of development costs, addressing MOD requirement directly. Where we can't, the values are very high, we will part develop it, also do joint development with foreign OEMs to see that we address the market. I'm very excited that our strategies are working now and the opportunities are very high. We believe with the competence we build, we'll be able to address the market and grow the business. The second area where we want to focus on is also look at differentially from what others are doing, build defense satellites, scale this opportunity, look at opportunity not only in India and outside India, and make that market happen. Today, it is not a business model which is giving us, but we built it as a competency model, like we have done so many things in the last 2-3 decades. We continue to invest in this kind of programs, but we think there's enormous latent demand to address this market. So we believe with some little bit of opening, we should be able to push ourselves and build full systems here, which is scalable and exportable. Third area we're going to look at is look at our competency, duplicate our competency in a service model rather than only a product model, which is what we're doing today. So this is in short where we want to go in terms of strategies. So where are we now? I believe we are at an inflection point. Why are we doing this? Because we have the people, we have the order book, and we have the capability to build end systems. We build across all of electronics. We have the engineering capability, the infrastructure to produce and deliver. And more importantly, we have more than 83 people in QC/QA out of 750 people. More than 10% is QA. We have written our own documentation. We have documented our mistakes and see that when we train young engineers to do very complex defense systems and solutions. I think we have a delivery model in place. We have contracts in hand, and the huge business opportunity in front of us in the Indian market has opened up. And that market is open for equipment suppliers. And we have positioned ourselves as an equipment supplier. We want to look at, like instead of buying as foreign OEMs, we are saying, why don't we build those systems in India? And that is the opportunity we're looking at. I think we are just here at the right time. And we have focused towards make that opportunity, make it happen for us. So this is in short presentation. I can now take question and answers.
Thank you for taking us through the presentation, sir. We hope the attendees have captured enough and more understanding of Data Patterns, business model, financials, and its execution capabilities across various channels and other diversification opportunities at hand. Before the floor is open for the participants to ask their questions, I would like to reiterate to type your name and organization details in the Q&A chat box for the moderator to take note to address your query. And note, in the interest of time, we will be restricting to 10 to 15 questions only, and repetitive questions will be skipped. So coming to the first question, how did you come up with the name Data Patterns?
Okay. See, for me, in a computing world, we only work with zeros and ones. And zeros and ones are very confusing. It's just data. It doesn't make meaning to anybody. I said we make meaning. We provide solutions. So a pattern, data pattern provides solution. Data itself is nothing. So we are solution providers. We want to build equipment, build systems, provide solutions. So that is how we started this company name of Data Patterns way back 37 years back.
Okay, so moving to the next question. When you Okay, sir. Moving to the next question. When you say you've got 1,000 building blocks, what does that mean? Could you throw some light on, what are exactly building blocks?
See, I'll give you a simple example. If you take a black box, how do you test the black box? You take some input and provide some output. You have to simulate the various input, measure the output for acceptance criteria, then you have a test equipment. So there are a lot of similar generation blocks which has to be done, which can get configured. Similar, a lot of measurement blocks which has to get done and can be configured. Each one has a building block, which is what we call as commercial building blocks. Any system requires a processor. So the many kinds of processor with lot kinds of capabilities. So each one becomes a building block. There are a lot of power supplies with different kind of capabilities. The power supply then become building block. Similarly, the acquisition systems become building blocks. The radar portions, subsystems or radar signal processing become building blocks. So we have developed video generation, audio generation. We have building blocks to do all of them. Finally, you have to stitch the building blocks together to give the end application. We do that. When you say 1,000 plus, because we've done enormous amount of building blocks, we use them across various kinds of domains, various kinds of end equipment, which is usable. And also it develops us, when a building block is done, validated, and during the course of 4 years, we find mistakes on design, we improve the design, we say, okay, now that becomes mature kind of design to be used elsewhere. Similarly, software, it's just not hardware. Software also is building block. We create libraries, reuse that software development across application platforms. What really happens is the development time then gets compressed, the cost of development gets appropriated over many systems. Third, we get quality products which are put together, which has already gone time tested. This is what we mean by building blocks.
Okay, so moving to the next question. As Indian PSUs are looked at candidates for divestments by the government, will it impact your business going forward?
I didn't quite get that. Indian
As
PSUs.
Indian PSUs are looked at as candidates for divestments by the government, will that impact your business going forward?
No. Why should it impact? If they're divesting, if we find that there is an opportunity for us to acquire, we should do that. They're looking at scale. Why would be worried about divestment? We are only happy if somebody divests, then it adds material requirement which can add up capability. We should add capability. Now we have access to markets, access to money. We should buy up.
Okay, sir. Moving to the next question. How much stake do the promoters hold? How much will they be giving away in the OFS?
I think Venkat, the numbers exactly. You are mute. You're mute.
Promoters hold about 27 million, out of which 3.8 million is offered in the OFS, the IPO.
No, as a percentage, Venkat, maybe easier.
Percentage,
maybe
promoters
Ranga
hold
sir,
about 57%.
maybe I can take that.
And
So,
post IPO, promoters holding will be around 45%.
Yeah, Devendra, you had.
yeah, that is correct. That is correct. It will be about 44.7% at the higher issue, at the higher price band. And currently the holding is about 58%.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. Your RHP states that you will be a major participant in at least 1,500 crore worth contracts in the next 3 years. What does this pertain to? Space, land, air, or sea?
Okay, we wouldn't classify it as a platform. I would this 1,500, 2,000 you're talking about is based on the contracts already executed and the repeat contracts happening. Some can be airborne radars. Some can be airborne communication systems, but these are largely ground-based radars where already we have delivered. Second large opportunities is in airborne radar warning receivers and EW and ground-based EW. So radars, EW, and communication. These are the things which can be air or ground.
Thank you. Moving to the next question. Defense electronics has become more complex and dynamic in nature. You're seeing aircrafts with large adoption of optronic systems, communication and battle management systems are looking at multi-domain concepts of operations. Naval platforms are adopting electronic warfare. And of course, there is a technology angle to it also with it, coming in with machine learning to software-defined, systems. Where are we as a company heading?
See, from components and subsystems is what we started with 2015, 18 years back. Today, we build end equipment. What is this end equipment in terms of radar warning receivers or EW or radars? These are all sensors. So we're building the eyes and ears of an equipment. Is what we're doing. So we're building very modern sensors. What is the difference we are doing now? Earlier, radar warning receiver was analog driven. Today, it's only digital driven. We are now become, the eyes are getting open to the entire spectrum of what is happening, not going to piecemeal and test. So we'll miss some of the radars is operating. So the technology is being used to, not only make it smaller, but make it far more complex systems can get done today with the signal processing capability. The domain can be done in real time rather than do it piecemeal. So enormous amount of opportunity and capability have been built in building these subsystems. Going ahead, once these are there, then what the points you're talking about comes to sensor fusion. We've already started working on them. As and when we start building the full systems and work with the product program agencies, we start building sensor fusion, making, like you said, what you asked, question of data patterns, data from various kinds of sensors, create the pattern, understand this in this artificial intelligence concept you're talking about, and then make that as a solution, giving a different view of things. This is the way we have to go. But today, we are building the sensors, and the sensors are flying. Going ahead, we need to do the rest of the things you're talking about.
So do you win your contracts on a tender basis, or do you get it on nomination basis? To what is the duration of the tender process? If you could throw some light.
MOD tenders are obviously tenders on full systems. DRDO has 2 levels of tenders. Some of them initial orders are tender-based. We won the tender. Then when it goes to PSU, because we've already been a certified product, that comes as a repeat order or a single vendor comes. In DRDO, sometimes, because of the competency model, they also get the single tender orders because we have a differentiated product offering, which is not available with many companies, and they have to buy from 5 companies to integrate. Then it takes enormous time, maybe 2 years, 3 years to deliver it, whereas we are in a position to deliver it in 9 months and 6 months. So some of the contracts has come single tender to us because of time pressure for delivery, and the Army, Navy, Air Force requires it. So we also get single vendor tenders from DRDO. From defense PSU, we get largely single tender tenders, single tender orders because it is repeat. On MOD, it is going to be open tender.
Thank you, sir. Your order book has grown substantially from 181 crores in 2019 FY to 581 crores as of September 2019. What do you attribute this to? Additionally, there is a question which states that 2/3 of your current order book is from radars. Could you give us an indication as to what was the order win in FY20 when the order book rose sharply?
See, DRDO development is graduating to orders. We started getting the tip of the iceberg. Small orders have started now coming to the extent of about 100, 200 crores. Repeat orders have started happening to us in EW and some in radars. We also, like I said, participated in MOD tender, won the tender order for a 250 crore radar order. So that is also getting added in 2020, the jump went up. But more than that, the number of products we have delivered, and we got about 200 crore single tender order in the last 2 years from DRDO, which we have delivered for both communication equipment, EW equipment, and radar equipment. All of them, that is all getting certified. Repeat orders are expected. Going ahead, this order book will scale because we just started seeing the production orders happening now, which is a small portion has happened. Larger portions are yet to happen. And the scale is happening today in one from DRDO tender orders, and second is one MOD order, single MOD order. That is when the scale has happened, but more has to happen as we go along.
Thank you. Moving to the next question, which asks that what kind of challenges do you foresee going ahead, and how are you planning to build a moat around the business?
See, MOD tenders are large, but we need to have products to address the tenders. Point number 2, not only do we have to have products, which is development takes time, it's also risky sometimes. Point number 2, that we have to win the contracts and being lowest cost. So these are the challenges on addressing and growing the MOD business. This is there for everybody. There are 2 options to do this. One is to tie up with already available products from foreign OEMs, which is what most large companies are doing, because then the risk has become lower. You're not spending development money and going through a 0-1 situation as we go. So you rely on that, and then hopefully if you win the order, you get it. But point 2, we are actually doing a slightly different thing. Since we have developed an enormous amount of competency, so-called reusable building blocks with DRDO, we're trying to reposition them, re-engineer them, address the market. If it's a few hundred crores kind of requirement, which can be addressed with our capability, and with incremental development costs and incremental risk, we should be able to address it. So this is the market, we are doing slightly different from other companies in building in-house capability to address this market. The larger orders, we're also tying up with foreign companies where we can't, take complete risk for 2,000, 3,000 crores of development, or we can't do that now. So we do a tie-up with them. But then in here also, we are saying largely our design building blocks get used. Something will come from the foreigners, and then we have a better cost model to address the market opportunity. So this is the kind of opportunity we're doing. So we need to work on this. I'm not too worried really in the next 3 years or 4 years. I'm not worried going ahead because the pipelines we've created in the last 7 years is very, very huge. So that pipeline will take care of the growth for the next 3-4 years. So I have the 3-4 years of strategizing, address the market, look at the opportunities, see where we make a partnership, what ecosystems evolving, address the opportunities, and be careful about product development. So we're not really actually too worried at the present moment. Yes, we need to create a moat, as you said. We have done that with DRDO orders earlier, which will create our safety debt for the next 2-3 years. Medium range and the longer term, we have some strategies in place to see how it go along.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. With respect to your raw materials, 70% of them come from the foreign suppliers. Are these kind of raw materials available with the Indian suppliers, or as well as, could you indicate if you've been negatively impacted by the restriction that government came into place with respect to imports, recently?
Okay, when you make 70%, it is 70% of our total raw materials. Our total raw material is 30-35% of our turnover. So it's about 20-25% of the material. And this is essentially electronics. See, India has no electronic component industry. So we have to rely on imported electronic components, but we don't buy subsystems. We design subsystems and systems here. So raw material is ICs, resistor, capacitor, like that we import. This again, because of defense requirements and standardization and reliability standards, we import only through, direct manufacturers and distributors. And then we can have a traceability for 20 years, which batch it's come from, etc. So this is what we do. So we do this. Second question of what you asked is, are we impacted by the negative list? We are not impacted by the negative list. Are we impacted by the COVID? To an extent, yes. So what we have done is to mitigate that COVID risk. So some of the components are not available. Timelines are changing. So one, when we have time, we're redesigning with available components and delivering. Point two, we are also importing importing higher quantities, stocking more here to see that deliveries are not affected. But we're largely in place. A little bit of ups and downs, but we're managing the ups and downs with mitigation philosophies, which is in place.
Thank you. So moving to the next question, as we all are aware that everyone's facing a semiconductor issue, how has it impacted us, as well as, what kind of supply constraints have we seen when it comes to, components that we require?
Yeah, I explained that part of the last answer. See, we have some issues of some components suddenly getting delayed delivery, which is not originally expected. But we have, in the defense business, we not have a timeline of 2 weeks delivery, 3 weeks delivery. Every order on a production order, we have 1 year clear advance notice of delivery. So we can plan ahead, even if this slip of delivery takes place in components, as long as we plan ahead, we're able to address the requirement. Like I said, some of the areas, if we have to do some design change to accommodate equivalent components, we do that, see that delivery is not affected. And then 3, we order ahead, stock a bit ahead to see that we are above the curve and not getting into problem, which will involve a bit more stocking costs. But it is okay because the components we are stocking is long lead time components. So we're not really much affected in terms of costing on this. And the component cost as a percent of sale is much lower. So we're managing the limitations with kind of strategies.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. From a competition perspective, sir, who do we look at as competition when we are competing for the tenders?
We have 2 levels of competition based on the market. One market is the DRDO development market. In this market, there are a number of competitors, our size, much smaller than us, slightly bigger than us, who compete with us. But these are they compete with trading market. They import agents who try and sell the building blocks. They also customize some portions. So we have a market which is fairly competitive in this area. But the one difference is that they are all focused in particular part of electronics. Somebody makes computing, somebody makes RF microwave, somebody makes power supply, somebody makes control systems. The advantage we have is we cover all of those territories. So we're trying to ride various horses and try to see with more value add, we're able to be more competitive. The number of competitors, you want me to name them, I can do that. But generally, we have a lot of competition here. That competition is different. The second competition we have is large houses in corporates, which is because MOD buys big systems. So we have L&T, Tata, BEL, HAL, Alpha, Adani, Mahindra, all of them are competitors, and they tie up with back-to-back with foreign organizations. So on one hand, we have corporates, as on the other hand, smaller organizations also on a competitive space.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. Given that most of our contracts are fixed price in nature, how much cost over an impact have you seen on the books, given that the impact can be absorbed by the company or not? See, when we quote itself, we quote with knowing that the contract goes to be 2 or 3 year delivery period, and the components will be ordered after design. So we put in a margin to say in DRDO contracts, we add the cost of future dollar value. So we escalate the dollar and then make the cost and then quote. This is on the DRDO contracts. As far as the MOD contracts or even contracts from HAL, which spreads over 5-7 years, then we put an escalation clause and the US dollar rate variation clause as part of the contract.
so that as and when the rate goes up, we are also year on year compensated on the pricing. So it doesn't go and eat the bottom line. Both ways we manage the cost properly. Third is that since the raw material cost or import cost is only a portion, so 30-35% and 20% or overall selling price, minor variation does not really affect the overall system cost, and we can manage the cost.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. Production contracts have an average execution period of 3 to 4 years. How long is the average execution period for a development contract?
It varies from 6 months to 2 years, depending on the complexity of the development. And whether repeat can be done or ab initio development, then takes typically about a year's time to do ab initio development, because it has go through various design cycles and approvals. It takes time, but it takes 1 to 2 years' time.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, could you indicate if we have any sort of patent or any claim to the technologies that we've developed in-house for the defense sector?
Yeah, one patent which is shared with DRDO, NSTL, is done long back on navigation algorithms. We did a novel algorithm for torpedo navigation. But what we are actually doing is building products here, not just IPs. The IP is a product IP, how to design the product. So these products are available abroad. We do this with modern electronics today. They might have done it 8 years back, 10 years back. But we use modern electronics, bring the cost down, make it smaller. That's what we're doing. So the product concept is not new. So we can't really file an IP or a patent there. More importantly, get the product capability or knowledge, build more products to address the market. That's what we're doing. The technology is there.
Okay, sir. Could you tell us a little bit about your nano satellite that you made that was deployed in 2017? Particularly how nano was it, and could you give us a rundown on the project and the experience of the company in its design and development?
See, a nano satellite comes with what is called as a CubeSat standard. There is also international standard called CubeSat. This is anything 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter is called a cube. 10 centimeter, 10 centimeter, 10 centimeter. So that is a cube. But then you have multiple times, depending on the satellite configuration, you can make it 30 centimeters by 10 by 10, or various aspects of that on volume space, depending on the payload which you're carrying. So this is called a nano satellite, but typically they're all about less than 30 kg class satellites, which can be launched on this size. What we did in this program is there are a number of companies who make, like us, we do building blocks. They also sell those building blocks abroad. The easiest way is to buy the building blocks and integrate a configuration. And typical nano satellites don't have movement mechanisms and things, this is not very complex. But since our idea was to make a defense satellite and scalable defense satellite, first thing we did is we built all the hardware on the same building block without importing the processor, the telemetry, telecommand, transmitters, everything we designed ourselves, the power system, the power management system, the solar array panel, etc. All of them we did. The antennas we designed in-house. Then second thing we did is we said we need to have a reliable platform and we want to send it to defense. So we didn't want a single point failure. So everything we made it redundant. So everything is duplicated. When you make it redundant, it is just not the hardware redundancy. You need to test for failure of a single part. If any failure happens, how will the other part take over and release control? So these are complexities. Once you add complexity and redundancies, software becomes exceedingly complex. So then we wrote the software. How do I do redundancy management and failure management, and then bring this? So this is also enormous. Then we need to test it. All the scenarios are tested. So we need to do this. Then we said we're going to add wheels so I can move it in space. Normal nanosatellites don't have the capability, but you need to have wheels. You have 3 wheels to view it, but we had the 4th wheel, say the redundant wheel is there. So we can move the satellite any space, direct the satellite any location. And then we developed all the ground systems for receiver, transmitter, waveforms, all of them was done. So it's an effort to build a competency and a product model and all the technologies which is going into a satellite building. And post-launch, how do I do stabilization? It starts spinning once you launch the satellite. How do you manage the spin control, stabilize it, look at sun pointing, and then get the energy there. And then look at what is the payload you need to switch on the payload, get the housekeeping functions up. So this is part of satellite. So we did and understood, implemented all parts of satellite. This idea was to do competence building, to build a scalable satellite business. This is where we went through and start doing this.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. Material cost has reduced to 22% of the revenue in H1 FY22 from 31% in FY21. Could you state the reason for this reduction and how sustainable will it be?
See, it all depends on the products we deliver in that quarter or half a year. Okay, overall is about 60 or 70% is what gross we have. Some products have more gross margin, and then it also depends on service revenue, which has very little, let's say, cost in terms of component or raw material cost. A lot of service revenue has come in on that quarter. Second, we had some products where there's a lot of IP in that, so the gross margins are higher because enormous amount of development is done, and so prices were very comparable to foreign sources, but IP costs are very high. So we got a slightly higher margin. But overall, on a yearly level, when all the products come together, the margins will be around 65 to 70%.
Thank you, sir. Could you indicate what are the kind of modernization programs you are currently catering to?
We are doubling our production capacity in terms of equipment and space. So we have a single line of automatic pick and place line, which is there in electronic manufacturing. We are doubling it. We're putting a new line. We also have vibration tables. We make a 6-ton vibration table. We are also working out the extra space for navigation equipment to be calibrated. We are providing more chambers because when production volume increases, we need environmental test chambers have to be duplicated and multiplied. So we're doing that. So we are doing a whole lot of things to see that we're debottlenecking our production and scaling the production. That is one portion. The second portion, what we're doing is also creating a hangar space, large hangar space we're creating. We're putting a gantry there where 10-ton metal or 12-ton metal can be moved in. Our radar integration can be done in-house. Earlier, we had only electronic manufacturing and small block manufacturing and integration. Here, we can build big systems. And the market is now, our focus is to build big systems. So we can bring the Tata trucks or big trucks, Himalayan trucks inside, outfit the trucks, put the antennas, put the electronics inside, put the shelters, and then take it to delivery. So we have created a hangar space to do all of them, and also enhanced our satellite space. We believe that slowly we'll start getting, so we're given some more space to grow. So the next 5-7 years, we can look at space. We're also buying some land right next to us with about 3 acres nearly to see that scalability is available within the infrastructure is being created.
Thank you, sir. Given that we've answered most of the questions, and if there is anything unanswered, we'll definitely revert back to the individual. Thank you, everyone, for showing interest in knowing more about the company, its leadership and future potential. I would now like to call upon Mr. Devendra Madhav from IIFL Securities to make the closing speech before we end today's webinar. Devendra, over to you.
Thanks, Lalit. I would like to thank the management of Data Patterns for a very insightful presentation and everyone for a patient hearing. We are extremely excited in bringing such a high quality company in the niche and high growth defense electronics sector, a private company in a sector dominated by PSUs to the Indian capital markets. I would like to reiterate the issue details. The price band for the IPO is set at rupees 555 to 585. At the top end of the price band, the issue size is about 588 crores, comprising approximately 240 crores of fresh issue infusion into the company, and the balance as an OFS. This doesn't include the 60 crore pre-IPO, which we have already completed with 3 marquee investors. The anchor book will open on the 13th December. The main issue will open on the 14th December, and close on 16th December. The initiation of refunds will be around 23rd December. We look forward to your support for the issue, and on behalf of the company, at the BRLMs and the entire IPO team, I thank you for your participation. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Madhav, esteemed audience. We've now come to the end of the webinar, and we look forward to your support and participation in making this initial public offering a great success. Wishing you all a great day. Keep safe, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jai Hind. Can we leave now?